Hello everybody and welcome on today's video. Today I'd like to start a little fusion project. Well, I started it a year or two ago. These are privet cuttings and well, I have a privet edge, and last year I made a little foam trunk just because, well, I had nothing to do. And I planted a few cuttings where there were no roots, and well, I think they're all rooted. So yeah, that's interesting to know. Privets root easily. I also, that was 2 years ago, planted these ones, and well, they seem to grow very well. So I think it is a good idea to include these privets on this trunk and then see where we end up. So everything has to come out of the pot, and then we'll give it a shot. So this, of course, will not be your natural looking tree. Well, it does not always have to. So, oh yeah, it's in what I call fusion plate. You see, you do things and then you don't remember what you did. So this is a big piece of plastic. I have one dead here, so that's definitely gonna need replacement. These are the little clamps, a little rusty. Okay, now let's give this a wash. What I see here is already very interesting. Now almost no roots at the top part, but all the roots are here at the bottom. So what does this mean? It means that these privets tend to make roots at the bottom and not everywhere. And they make quite a lot of roots. So let's clean this up. Well, I think this is quite interesting. If you look at the cuttings, they all make roots from the very bottom of the cutting. There are no roots whatsoever on the little trunks, I will call them. So that means that if you want to make a fusion tree with that, it is very, very easy. You just have to make a covered foam trunk with cuttings and then put them in the soil, and this should work. So that's interesting. If you want to give this a shot, it will cost you absolutely nothing, and the result might be very impressive. So I am going to have to get these others out now and see what I can do. No, I have to do something else first. I have to lift these a little, try to get them through this plate, which will not work. So I cannot put them through. I'm going to destroy all of these roots, and that cannot be the purpose, of course. No, it's not a good idea. Some I can, some I cannot. If I manage to get them here, it's okay. If I have a little root over the fusion plate, of course I will have to reposition the clamps. I can force the roots to continue growing from here. So this went rather well. I was able to lift all the trees. You see the roots are now over the fusion plate, and I guess if it continues rooting there will be new roots here, and so on and so on. Some have very little roots. One snapped while I was doing this. So okay, of course all these clamps will need to be removed now and repositioned, but that comes with the game. I have to get the other now out of the pot. So these are 2-year-old cuttings, if I remember. Gonna cut this part loose and put it in the tray. So now I have to clean up everything and see what we have. Privet. Interesting. It's a very popular edge here. I don't know how privet does in the rest of the world. But in the Western world, oh, quite a popular edge. So these are the cuttings, quite a lot of roots, which is very good, of course. And this is the base where I started on, so I have to remove the clamps, little iron clamps, in order to reposition these trees. Could take a few minutes, of course. This is coming loose. I'll have to glue this again. So the next step is really not difficult, but rather boring, I must say. I'm just pushing the foam. I glued it just 10 seconds ago. So the next step, like I said, is going to be rather boring, but if you want to make fusion bonsai, it is necessary. So you have to take every cutting and then see which is the longest part. Maybe I don't need that much root at this side, so, and then I get it into the bundle. I'm gonna take the upper part of the so-called fusion plate this time, and I have to fix it with a little clamp. Like so, pressing it in. Give it a little direction, which makes it a little more interesting, because you will have a twisted trunk then. Yeah, and that's what happens if you don't hold it. Another clamp. And then of course I have to turn it completely around, and I will have to do that for all the trees. So I see you in 7 months and 5 days. So this looks quite good, nice and tight, and there's not a lot of space between them. The other side is, well, I run out of cuttings. So what can I do? Well, I'm going to the edge now, and I'm going to take some cuttings and just insert them with no roots, and I'll see what's going to be the result in a few months. So let's just do that. So here are the cuttings, and well, it's just going to be the same, of course. Yeah. Insert them one by one. One cutting, one little clamp. Zip. I recently tried another fusion idea. I did this with a little tree made of different pomegranates. Just bundle a whole lot of trees or cuttings together. It seems to work very nice. And of course you don't have to do the whole clamping thing, because you have no trunk, no foam trunk. And I think when I see how these root so easily, that I might just give it a try with privet this summer, but therefore the hedge should grow a little more. But this might be a very interesting plant to do this with. So I'll finish this up and catch with you up in a few minutes. So I'm done with including them all, and I'm going to wrap this up with a piece of natural raffia. Why natural raffia? Well, because I hope it will rot. You know. Because I have some spares here of these cuttings, and I'm going to just put them on top of it. I have a few roots here, but I don't think that's a big deal. But I really need to get my hands free. This is the whole problem with these kinds of constructions. You get completely coconut. Maybe I can just stick them under. I mean, every pressure you can make will speed up the fusion. And that's it's kinda nice. Okay, so that's what we learned today. Well, what I learned. You can just put some extra under it. And this is the last one. So I'm looking for a good spot. Yeah, here. I'm just going to tighten this a little more and then put the whole thing back in a pot. So before I put it in the pot, I'm going to give it a comb, especially for the upper roots, the upper part here. It's always better to untangle this. So this is quite interesting. We have half of the construction with roots and half of the constructions with no roots, because that's just cuttings. So this might be fun next year when I repot this. I'm going to give a root trim here. And everything that sticks really under it, I'm going to remove a little too. So of course these trees are cuttings and they will have no taproot. Okay, so I'm going to put this in a pot. I'm going to spare you this. Well, there's nothing to see about that. So this concludes the start of this little fusion project. Of course, the best thing to do now is to wait a few weeks and then see if this whole thing is starting to grow, and then you can start with guiding the trunks to the in the right direction. You see, they should all come like this, and well, of course this is a lot of work, but you don't have to do everything same day. It's best to wait, and if they start to root, the trees will be stronger and you can manipulate them a little better. So yeah, well, privet, interesting plant. If you know other species to do this with, well, I'd like to know it, so please comment and share your ideas. So thank you for watching, and see you next time.